Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Good morning, everybody. Cowboy here. It is 8:30 a.m. EST, Thursday, April the 9th, and we have a little data dropping, like right now. So the charts might move before our very eyes. Apparently, the data has not yet dropped, or if it's dropping, Forex Factory is taking some time to show it. Flip over to that screen for you right now. You can see pending, pending, pending just above my head there. I'll scroll down so you can see all of it. But yeah, it's the key ones here are the PCE and final GDP. So I'm going to take a quick look at the charts. We're going to talk about silver in a minute, but I want to see close up what the Forex charts are doing because they usually reflect, this kind of stuff. They usually, like, if the data drops, you can kind of tell from the charts what's going on. And it's just taking a minute for that data to come through. And there come the alerts. I wouldn't trade that. You just saw on the screen that little tab right there. That's my algo that I built. And as you can see, it kind of appeared and disappeared. I wouldn't usually trade those until the candle's already closed, just so you know. Let's flip back to the data screen. Okay, still pending. Let me refresh that screen. Actually, you're still on that screen. Okay, we have the data. So the core PCE is as expected, slightly below on the GDP final. So it was expected 7.7%. We got 0.5%. Let me actually flip to this other screen so you can see it. I didn't flip to it earlier. And my algo did ping right above here. So these little tabs that you see right there, it actually pinged, but it unpinged, right? So I don't trade those until that candle closes because that's just how signals work when you work with algos, at least within the same candle. Anyway, not much going on though. The data really didn't make a big difference. The PCE, which is a key indication of inflation, that was a nothing burger. See, there goes the algo again. So it looks like this may end up pushing down a bit if this stays through the close of the candle. That's for 2 whole minutes, so we're not going to sit here and watch it. But it doesn't look like the data is really doing a whole lot. So we're going to take a look at silver. And that's the main subject for today. Before we do that, though, take a look in the description. There is a free algorithm, right? So in there is, it's a very short video. It's really simple. I build an algorithm. I turn it into code using Grok. So when you turn it into code, there's a couple things that happen. You get these little tabs. Now, this is a different algo. I don't give this away. This one, if you wanted, it's $1 million. You could send me a PayPal for $1 million. In reality, it'd be a bank wire. But yeah, you can have this algo for $1 million. The only other person that has that algo is my coder. Nowadays, you don't really need a coder, although my coder really does elegant work. I still would prefer to use him, but I've actually been using AI to do the whole thing lately. But I manually develop these, and then I use AI to actually code them. And then once they're coded, you can have the computer trade for you when you're not even sitting at the computer. And in that video, I show you the tools that traders use to do that. Now, the algo in the video, you do have to optimize that before you use it, just so you understand that. So let's take a look at silver, right? And remember, go in the link, click the description, free algo. I give a lot of stuff away for free. I even give away some of my information on the trades I'm taking during these shows. If I see a good trade, I will talk about it during these first 10 minutes. So subscribe. Let's get back out in the silver chart. And I'm going to take a little bit higher of a time frame view to show you what I'm looking at here. But yeah, like 60% of you who watch this don't subscribe, so please subscribe. All right. Okay, so this is an uptrend. A lot of people would look at this as a bearish look, though, because there is something called a bear flag. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about that. A bear flag is a formation, and it's a valid thing. It's kind of a lot of newer traders like to use patterns because they're easy to see. But if price goes up like this, let's use the arrow here. Price goes up like this, and let's fix the arrow. Give me 1 second. And then what it does is if it sort of creates this pattern like this, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to go up again. Right? And anytime you can predict a move based on probabilities, you can make money. Well, for flags, the same goes in reverse, right? So if price is headed down, you actually can have this happen and then it may continue down, right? That's called a bear flag. And that's what we might be seeing right here. And so the way to measure a bear flag as far as how far it might go is you take the flagpole, which in this case is a downward flagpole. Get a lot of alerts. We'll look at them in a minute. And then you have your flag here, right? Where it's just kind of going back and forth. This is almost more of a pennant, but we'll not talk about the difference there. It doesn't matter for this conversation. And then if price breaks out to the downside, right? If price just continues down like this, then you measure from here and you actually copy and paste this. And this is the maximum amount that the flag may go down. That's old school. This is like the way I traded in like 2017. Not to say it doesn't work though. Right? It works. But then of course you have, structure. So if this did happen, if this in fact was a flag, and it may not be, but if it was, I'd be looking at like 54 because you have this market structure. Now, I don't think we're going to see that because it could happen. That's possible. It's metals though, and metals kind of tend to stay bullish. I can tell you that according to the Gorilla, who does a ton of metals deals around the world, he says that despite all of these moves down that we're seeing, like over the past few, since say January, late January, he says that physical metals are continuing to be bought. People are not selling them, and now perhaps they sold up here at 100, 120. You had I saw people selling them then. I even sold a little bit, but like a little bit. I just can't sell my physical metals. It's hard to do, but when you see price go up like that, you gotta sell a little bit, right? So like, I don't know, a few $100 worth, like just go take some profit. It's just like gets it off your conscience, right? I mean, like a minuscule amount that just doesn't matter. So that being the case, people are buying all in this area. So price has been kind of rotating between about 63,000 and 96 or, whatever, 90. So really 60 to 90 roughly. Prices are going back and forth ever since like February, the beginning of February. And in that time, physical metals are being bought, right? They're being bought, especially over in Asia. Even during these slam downs, they don't care over there. They're just buying them up, right? So we're seeing these bounces. And then might we see another bounce? Well, technically, I mean, look, price is technically in a downtrend, lower lows, and this anywhere below 96, anywhere up to here would be a lower high. And that's an indication of a downtrend. And 55 is a nice area for the larger players to get a lot of liquidity. Will it go down there? I don't know. Right? I don't know if it will, but it could. No one knows. No one knows the future. But that's a pretty reasonable number for price to go down. There's a fair amount of activity at that level. But then again, it might not. It goes down to 60. It seems like a lot of people are going to buy that every time it goes down to these levels. If it does go, it doesn't stay there, right? It immediately gets bought up and pushed both of these times. So at the moment, though, if you zoom in a little bit, what we are seeing is an uptrend. Right. So what's an uptrend? An uptrend is when price makes higher highs and higher lows. This is an uptrend. But like I said before, bear flags do have an uptrend, right? So it doesn't mean this is just going to go up and up and up. So the next thing I'm left to do is, of course, I've got price action where we are above this local resistance, right? So we're making some new highs. We might even see some more new highs. Maybe it makes a new high here, maybe there. And then you have up here at 90, right? You have up here at 90. That's an important level. And I'd say the most important level for price to break for us to say, okay, maybe we're going to make a new high is breaking 96. And of course, $100 is psychological. So, but until we get there, we're just looking at local price. Now, besides all of those items, I am now left to take a look at the indicator stack, right? And we are looking at a time when silver could turn around. So what might that look like for the high time frame? By the way, gold's going to do pretty much the same thing like that silver does. They're very similar behaving asset class. Silver tends to be a little bit more volatile, right? So if we are to see a turnaround, there's a couple ways that this could go. And it's hard to know. I know even the Gorilla is kind of not exactly sure how that's going to go. But you might see something like this, where we do get another move down, grab liquidity, give the precious metals, say futures players, a chance to get in nice and low, and then it goes up, right? That's really very possible to me. And we might even get a panic down here to give them down to that 55 level to give them that extra, extra push, extra gush, extra little like, hey, I'm really going to get in cheap right here, right? And then give all those institutional types a chance to back up their truck to the paper market and load up on longs. And here's the thing about it. And even one of my buddies that runs a metal shop around here, just like a local, dealer where people go and sell their coins and buy them. He said it, and he said it really well. He's like, yeah, the people are, all the big money's playing in the oil market, right? Ever since Iran happened, they knew that oil would be more volatile. And so they've been playing in the oil market. And so all that money, all that institutional money that's pushing the paper market around, that is now playing with oil. So people continue to buy physical metals. That market hasn't gone anywhere, right? But the paper silver, paper gold is being kind of suppressed right now. And, that's a big game, and they're going to want back in. And that's how I think this is a very likely scenario. Of course, we might see it just kind of inch up and not make such a big dip. That could happen too, and if it does that, it's really going to go. If Iran kind of turns into a simmering long-term conflict that doesn't do a whole lot, then of course you're going to see something like that, like where it just sort of goes sideways for a while and eventually continues to go up, as long as the danger doesn't get too crazy. So that's just what, the whole picture for silver, and gold's really going to be very similar, in my opinion. I do have it grinding up right here. It could head down and do like literally the same sort of thing. So when you talk about gold patterns, talk about silver patterns. I'll take a brief look at the NASDAQ before we go to the private live lab. It's still holding, right? So I talked about this like yesterday. I even, talked about it last night, but basically you're looking at what I kind of predicted was where it would just grind sideways, right? Grinding sideways, holds at the top, as long as the ceasefire holds, right? And then, it's a delicate ceasefire, and you have Israel hitting Lebanon, and, Iran saying, hey, that's, part of the deal, and the U.S. is saying it's not. And there really is no agreement on the ceasefire. There is an agreement to talk. Hey, Data with Dan, thank you, brother. I appreciate you saying that, and I hope you're doing well, man. Dan was with us. I hope you come back soon, Dan. If you're interested in the algo thing, we're going to hike up the price. So if you want to come back, do it soon. But otherwise, come on to the show. And Dan, you know me. You can always hit me in the background if you have questions. Even though you're not currently a client, I can still help you out anytime, brother. So just hit me up if you got questions. But Dan's a good guy, man. Dan and I hung out in Canada for a week with a bunch of friends. So definitely a good guy out there. Either way, though, thank you all for watching. We're going to head over to the private live lab to talk to our private clients, our private guys. So basically what they're going to do is ask me, hey, what do you think is going to happen with this chart? What do you think is going to happen with that chart? And I just tell them what my algos say. I tell them what I think is going to happen. V the Gorilla hasn't shown up yet today, although he may. And he often also adds color. And V the Gorilla's macro predictions are better than mine, better than anybody's, because that guy actually is boots on the ground. He's literally doing major gold and crypto deals around the world. So come on over, links in the description, free algo. Come to algofactory.tech. We will teach you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. I will have Monday night. I will post the weekly update, right? So I wait for the markets to close on Monday, and then I do all the charts that I usually do, which is NASDAQ, USD, JPY, Bitcoin, the Euro, that's EUR, USD, GBP, JPY, which is a great forex pair to trade, gold and silver. And if you guys have a particular request that you want to see, I'm going to start taking one request a week. So if you all have a chart that you want to see, just throw it up in the comments, and we'll include it in that Monday show. Of course, the paying clients have first dibs on that. So at any rate, thank you so much. Catch you next week.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to